listeners. CCS contributor and host Kevin Drake of Sports Matters joins the Chris Collins Show, Millennial Talk Show. How's it going, fam?
Hey, it's going great. Thank you, Marissa and Chris. Thank you for the love that you shared with me a while back when I lost my mom. But things are doing good. Things are trending upwards. And, it's been a great summer thus far. I think we've come a long ways from where we were a year ago.
That's right.
And, continue
or have we? Have we? No.
Yeah, really. I know some people have it, but I think most people that are your everyday life, we're trying to, strive forward, stay positive.
Well, I appreciate those kind words, Kevin. And I mean, we missed you. We missed your voice on here. And I know to get things going right away, because this morning we have breaking news as we're live on the Chris Collins Show, Millennial Talk Show, because the MLB's Cleveland team has been known as the Indians since 1915. Now the baseball team will be known as the Guardians. So, Marissa, when you have the images, can we show this clip right now?
Yes,
let's do it right now, because, Kevin, who are they supposed to be? We are introducing the Cleveland Guardians. The name will go into effect after the 2021 season. And all I got to say is, are they the Guardians of the Galaxy, or is it a newspaper? I have no idea. So, I mean, but then again, Kevin, who are we to judge in Cali? Because, honestly, what the fuck does a Laker mean, or a Clipper? I mean, we don't have any lakes in LA, but we do have plenty of barber shops. But what is your take on them being called the Cleveland Guardians?
Well, real quick with the Lakers, they came from Minneapolis, and that was the land of the lakes. And now they come to Los Angeles. Should have changed the name, just like when Cleveland Browns kept the Browns name. But with the Cleveland Guardians, I don't know, start to seek in. I like what you said, the Galaxy of the Guardians of the Galaxy. I love it. I mean, they should run with that. But you think about it, even before this team was organized in 1901, it became officially a Major League Baseball team, but they're still a professional team from 1887 to 1899. They were the Cleveland Spiders. I actually kind of like that. That has a nice ring to it. A spider. There's spiders in Cleveland.
No.
And, no. But then when
I am scared of spiders. I hate spiders. I would never. No.
That's why you're scared of a fastball when you try to swing at it. Cleveland Spiders. It all makes sense.
And then they became the Cleveland Blues, and they had that for about 4 seasons, and they switched it to the Broncos. So, and then for 4 seasons they became the Naps before they became the Indians. And the reason why they became the
Naps, that I think that is definitely worse than the Indians.
Yeah, the Naps named after their managers. So,
but Kevin, are you in favor of this? Yes or no? Do you like this move?
I mean, if people if there were Native Americans offended by the name, I agree with you, what you said earlier, how it paid homage to the American, to the Native Americans that live here. I'm just confused by it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we know that the logo was a controversy issue. I mean, if we're going to be questioning the Washington Redskins for the name, obviously the Redskins does not associate with Indian Americans today. And I understand that the logo was a problem, but I never thought the name Indians was, as now with Cleveland Guardians, there is no ties to representing the American Indians today, which is very unfortunate. But Kevin, as we're speaking right now, the 2021 Summer Olympics, hosted in Japan, begins with new sports introduced in this year's games, including skateboarding, surfing, karate, softball, baseball, and sports climbing. What new additions to the Olympic Games are you most excited for?
I'm really happy for skateboarding and surfing.
Yes.
I mean, those sports have been going on for the longest time. I mean, these extreme sports it's amazing what those athletes can do. And it's pretty impressive. I mean, I watch the kids at the skate park. It gives them something to be inspired to stay out of trouble. Like, hey, man, one day I could get an Olympic gold medal or be like Shaun White or whoever is the top dog. I don't know much about skateboarding, so I got to do some research. But
it seems like it was very much our generation. I mean, we grew up with Tony Hawk. I mean, we grew up with Jackass. I mean, as much as that's more of a stunt show, but it's very much grew up from CKY. I mean, we watched all those videos.
And skateboarding is directly contributed with keeping kids out of gang life in cities. FYI.
Well, I think it's a very international thing, and I know that with this year's Winter Olympics, there will be 34 sports in total and a record of 339 medal events taking place. And Kevin, I didn't even know this fact, but like I heard that baseball was first made a medal event in the 92 Barcelona games, but then it got removed during the 2008 games in Beijing. Are you in favor for baseball jumping back in, even though there's only like 6 teams participate or 6 countries involved in this? I mean, are you excited?
Yeah, not as much. As more excited for the women's side because you ever watch women's fast pitch softball? That's an amazing. It's just so fast, and I truly enjoy that more as an Olympic sport because baseball's in the heart of its season right now, and you have really just Japan baseball and the Korean baseball league. Yeah, there's just not too many people, other countries that actually really get into baseball. I noticed some of the spring training camps, like the Dodgers will go down or St. Louis will go
Right.
down to Australia and play some games. They're trying to globalize it, do what the NBA did. But everybody plays basketball. Everybody plays soccer. Not everyone plays baseball because cricket's really big in other countries. So
That's true too, but then again, the best place to introduce baseball, I would say internationally, would be Japan because I mean we have the great Ohtani with us in the Anaheim Angel Stadium. But Kevin, I did want to ask you this because it's taken a full year for the Summer Olympics to begin because of the pandemic, and nationwide, Japan hit another 6-month high in new COVID-19 cases on Thursday with nearly 2,000 cases a day before the Olympics open. That is twice as high as what we're dealing with in Los Angeles County. So there are 23% of Japanese citizens fully vaccinated. This is a hot spot waiting to happen for athletes participating all around the world. Don't you agree?
it can be, and I think Japan probably took the appropriate safety measures to not allow people internationally into the country other than the athletes. So they got 0 fans for the Olympics. However, their baseball stadiums are full of fans.
Yeah, I heard some of the more outdoor arenas, they're going to very few, right?
Right. So the Olympics, they just kind of, that's it, no fans. So, yeah, I guess they got to take their safety precautions. But I hope the games get off. I mean, we really need this. This is what brings everyone together. But they did say, like, the virtual stuff like Twitter and all these other, like, streaming devices or vices are really booming right now. I mean, they got
Right.
like, millions and millions and millions new viewers. So we've kind of evolved in a different way, but
Well,
we do need our sports.
Well, I guess we're hoping for the best success at the Japanese Olympics because I don't think people really realize that in less than 200 days, the Winter Olympics is going to begin in Beijing.
I know,
Out of
it's
all
crazy.
places. So I'm praying for much success because obviously this is going to be another hit at the IOC if this doesn't become successful. But while we're on the topic of the Olympics, Kevin, what are your thoughts on the U.S. sprinter Shikari Richardson disqualified from Team USA for smoking marijuana?
I know. We've talked about this before. You're not getting any benefits from smoking marijuana. I'll tell you that. It's not going to make you run faster. But it's just such a touchy thing. But I mean, if they're saying that marijuana, if you fail a drug test, it's not allowed, then she should know better. But
how are we going to treat marijuana users as the same as an athlete who used steroids or stimulants? To me, that makes no sense. And I even joked with Marissa like, 2 or 3 weeks ago that it's like, let's have Sha'Carri Richardson smoke a blunt 3 hours before she's got to go and run, or whatever she wanted to participate in the 400
she goes
meter.
in the zone,
She's gonna
and
be,
it's like even more amazing. Like she's in the zone.
it's like when I'm shooting billiards and when I'm drinking, I shoot a lot straighter. So like, I mean, I can only imagine Sha'Carri's going to have a huge benefit with smoking marijuana, please.
And I wonder what the level was too. Was it just because it takes a while for the pot to get out of your system. So if you're like,
it takes over 30 days. She said she smoked one night when she found out about her biological mom's death. So
Right.
She's not a chronic user. She used it to get through grief. Medically used it. So it wasn't for like, let me do more. But anyway, kind of like back on like the women's topics. Kevin, we brought this up quite a few times here. So, I am all for trans rights in the Olympics, but it is seeming now that there are some unfair qualifications in women's sports during this year's Olympics. Because, Kevin, how can the IOC allow the first openly trans athlete from New Zealand to compete in weightlifting while 2 female-born runners from Namibia aren't allowed to run in the 400 meters after medical tests showed that they have high natural testosterone levels. So they're being disqualified because they're not female enough, even though they're born female.
That is crazy. I mean, or were they taking steroids?
No, they're naturally.
They're saying high natural testosterone levels. And have you heard about any of this, Kevin?
I have a little bit there. The thing with the testosterone levels, I mean, that goes up and down. All depends on when they got their test, but it's just it's a natural body thing. They're not cheating the sport, but then now they're letting a transgender athlete compete in the weightlifting. It's mind-boggling. It really is.
Here's the thing, and this is why I went back to. So these disqualifications, this is new because they're trying to make it fair. So they're going to allow in trans. They can't have so much testosterone. So to make it fair, they are now disqualifying women who naturally have high testosterone, who are an athlete, who they are because of a natural ability that was God-given, if you want to say it that way, right? So that doesn't make any sense. Well, can they run with the men? So is their testosterone so high they can't be a woman? So now they have to compete with men? No, they're not even allowed to run with the men now. So they're just not allowed to participate.
But Kevin, would you?
It's not fair. I agree with you, Marissa. It's not fair.
Yep.
I mean, and just to kind of end this on a final note, to kind of wrap this up in point, because Marissa, you're so right. These are new rules, and this is coming from the World Athletics testosterone rules, and it only applies for the 400 meters and the 1 mile. So anything lesser than that, even if you have high natural testosterone levels, it has no problem. And the sad part is the South Africa's Caster Semenya, hopefully I pronounced her name right, but she's sidelined from being able to defend her title, but yet we have a trans athlete competing in the weightlifting competition where high testosterone levels are not even referenced. So let's move on because, obviously we're never going to get anywhere with that conversation because it's going to happen anyways. But Kevin, this week in the sports world, a viral tweet is circulating the web when national CFB writer Chris Hummer tweeted the following. And I want Marissa to show you this because, so as you can see here, Chris Hummer tweeted, Nick Saban is talking at the Texas High School Coaches Association convention today, which was July 20th. And he was asked about NIL. NIL is name, image, likeness. Quote, our quarterback has already approached ungodly numbers and he hasn't even played yet. If I told you what it is, it's almost 7 figures, end quote. So Kevin, Alabama quarterback Bryce Young, who has attempted a total 22 passes in his career this far, has almost $1 million from Nick Saban. Okay. Like, do you think Nick Saban speaking openly about his future starting quarterback making 7 figures is secretly a recruiting tactic? I mean, this kind of reminds me of when Magic Johnson spoke on the Jimmy Kimmel show and got in trouble. Is this going to be a problem?
I think more he was talking about the equality of the other athletes. Because he's saying, like,
where does the quality come into effect when you've only had 22 passes?
Yeah, he's still got to earn his way on. He's got to earn the starting role, and he's going to have other athletes to compete against. So Nick Saban. I mean, he's the college god football. I mean, he's the greatest coach of all time, and so I kind of understand where he's coming from with the name, image, and likeness. But look, I'm actually going to be interviewing an organization that's going to work with the other 98% of the other athletes on how they can benefit from their name, image, and likeness, which is kind of good. So that'll kind of balance it out. But there are going to be athletes, like the Zion Williamsons that are just going to have, major run.
It is interesting that you just referenced that. I can't wait to hear what that's all about. I mean, when you reference the 97% of the rest of the organizations, I know what you're saying, but maybe for the CCS family who doesn't understand, 2 to 3% of actual student athletes in college actually become professionals in this world. And when you hear that, I mean, me personally, when I heard that comment from Nick Saban, this is going to ruin NCAA because it's only going to further distance big name programs from the rest of the pack. And anyone who thinks NIL is going to make the NCAA more competitive, I think you're a moron. I mean, what do you think is going to happen?
You just hit it on the head right there. Think about it. Even nowadays, yes, you got social media and everything, but where do athletes go? Why did LeBron James leave Cleveland? He came to Los Angeles because it's a huge market. And look, he's become the first $1 billion athlete from all his earnings.
I mean, let's
And
be
I can see that
realistic,
happening with college sports. You're right, because you'd rather go to Alabama to be with Nick Saban because you have a chance to win a championship, and it's really going to blow up more of your name, image, and likeness.
Well, especially if you know that their starting quarterback is making nearly $1 million. I mean, imagine if you're living the states or the local regions around Alabama. Do you think as a kid growing up, you want to go to Grand Canyon University? Hell no. You want to work your ass off to go to the University of Alabama because you know where the money is. I think this is totally out of control. And I think that we pushed the button a little too far with this. And it's unfortunate because you're going to start hearing about companies that are going to use and abuse these student athletes. And what happens if companies don't come through with paying that athlete? Does the NCAA have to get involved now? This is going to be a complete pickle. And I wish we could talk about this more, but I have so much more things I want to discuss with you, Kevin, in the sports world. And I know you are a baseball fanatic. And talk to me about why Angel superstar Shohei Ohtani is so special for the MLB.
He is something else. I watched him play it was on the 4th of July, and he hit a home run for me. Thank you, Shohei Ohtani, for bringing the show. He's just got such a great attitude for the game, such passion for the game, like Pete Rose had. And yes, he is basically today's version of Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth played the outfield. He was a pitcher, and he was a power hitter. But Shohei Ohtani, I think, is just a little bit more athletically built. And he's just so much fun to watch. And he's a really good pitcher. He can play in the outfield. He could play first base, but they choose not to play him that way, especially with the American League rules. When you're pitching, you don't hit. And then the other days, you get to be the DH. And I'm really impressed. I did not expect him to have this kind of success when he caught up to Major League pitching. But he's proven everybody, like, hey, he is the face of baseball, along with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Fernando Tatis Jr.
Right, and obviously the world knows exactly what Stephen A. Smith said about the superstar Shohei Ohtani using, an interpreter, hurts baseball, even though he's praised him numerous times, just like how you just compared him right now to the next great Babe Ruth. But I wanted to show you a clip that's been rubbing me the wrong way, and it was on the Rich Eisen show.
If Shohei Ohtani was playing in the Bronx with pinstripes, as opposed to playing in the Bronx the last 2 nights in an Angels road uniform, there's no question if he was a New York Yankee doing what he's doing for the Angels, doing what he did for the Angels in New York last 2 days, doing what he's been doing for the Angels the month of June, he would own half the world.
Why aren't popular sports media outlets, including the MLB, and it's a huge on the MLB in my end, not doing enough to elevate their next rising stars? I mean, you hardly see interviews, for example, from Mike Trout, Mookie Betts, Jacob deGrom, to name a few. So, if the boxing world can make interviews happen for, let's say, Canelo Alvarez, who speaks little to no English, why can't they do the same for Ohtani?
Absolutely, 100%. And why settle for half the world? He's got the whole globe.
He's got the whole globe.
He's got the whole globe.
I agree with that one.
Angels.
I agree with that one.
Yeah. He is the face of
doesn't
baseball.
like me wearing red, but I just got my Ohtani jersey. And this is
Woo!
the first baseball jersey I ever grabbed because I have been so amazed by what this young kid has been doing. And it's unfortunate because I think, not all the time young kids are going to be able to know who an Ohtani is without him being able to get his voice and expression out there. And what is going on? What is seriously going on?
The thing with Stephen A. Smith, he's a basketball guy. That's the sport that he really knows. But he has to have hot takes all the time. And this time he kind of messed up when he said that. It's like, Shohei is the face of baseball. So get over it. He is the face of baseball. And he's a great athlete to have to market baseball and to make it a global sport. He could really globalize it. I mean, baseball kind of is with like I said, a Korean baseball league, Japanese baseball league. There's been a lot of really good stars that come out of both of those countries. So, why not? He is the face of baseball.
It's so true. And I mean, I think it's about a quarter now. The MLB actually is from around the world. So, I mean, it's becoming very international nowadays. But, Kevin, I did want to speak to you about this because in less than 2 weeks, there is going to be the NFL training camp starting to open. I even know the rookies are already starting to get their shit together right now. But 14 of the 32 teams have reportedly reached 85% COVID-19 vaccination threshold. And in a league-wide memo obtained this week by CNN, quote, if a National Football League game cannot be rescheduled and it is canceled due to a COVID-19 outbreak among unvaccinated players, that team will have to forfeit and will be credited with the loss. Kevin, is it a losing mindset for NFL teams to not reach the 85% COVID-19 vaccination threshold?
Wow, that's kind of unfair. Let's say if you already had the disease, and do you need to get vaccinated because you've already built a self-immunization?
According to the new vaccine passports they're trying to pass in France, yes, they're only allowing you to say I've had COVID if it's been the recent Delta variant or one of the new ones like the Beta that's around right now. But if you had it last year, you were considered to still be able to get the variant,
well,
regardless.
I do know that there was a very interesting tweet that went out yesterday by superstar at the Arizona Cardinals, and that is DeAndre Hopkins. He quickly deleted it because I bet he had his own organization. Yeah, and his manager quickly
delete.
But he basically was referencing in short, like, I'm going to be the reason that my team loses. Well, yeah, you are going to be the reason that you lose. It's not like the NBA or the MLB. You have 17 weeks. It used to be 16. Now they added a week. But 17 weeks. Any game you lose in a week, your superstar wide receiver, or let's say, Big Ben with the Steelers, baby, he goes out. That is crucial. 2 games could blow a playoff stance. So, I mean, do you think that the NFL is handling the coronavirus pandemic good or bad? I mean, what's your take on this, Kevin? You think it's going to be handled better than last season?
I think if a player gets him put in COVID protocol, I think that's the way to go. But to forfeit the entire team when a majority of the players are vaccinated, it's just unfair to them because a couple players aren't vaccinated for whatever reason.
Well, I think what they're trying to say is there's a 53-man roster, and let's say half of the teams go, unvaccinated, then it could hurt them really badly. And then, we're going to have a situation like the Green Bay Packers had to do where they pull out the practice squad. Maybe that is what's going to happen, but we got a couple minutes left, and I know you are beyond stoked for this cat. I know the Milwaukee Bucks, they won their club's first NBA title since 1971 with Giannis Antetokounmpo. Hopefully I pronounce his name right. Everybody butchers it, but we still love it.
Antetokounmpo, you're right.
Antetokounmpo. He scored 50 points in Game 6 of the NBA Finals, closing the Phoenix Suns, and it's fair to say that the Greek Freak is officially a Greek god. Tell me about why Giannis represents everything great about sports.
Giannis is awesome, and what he did was before he won his first MVP, he set up a meeting with Kobe Bryant. He went out there with a notepad. He showed up 15 minutes early for the workout and just started taking notes. And he learned all he could from the Black Mamba on how to win, how to be a great player, how to lead your team to a championship. And then he wins back-to-back, MVPs. He wins a Defensive Player of the Year award one of the years that he won the MVP. Right. He didn't win the MVP this year. Then he follows it up with a Finals MVP and a championship. And he's the only superstar that's on the Milwaukee Bucks, but the Milwaukee Bucks was a really good, solid team.
Is that fair to say? I mean, we've been hearing Batman and Robin references. Did you just say he's the only superstar? Ooh, that's a hot take. Okay.
Kevin, what were you doing at 26?
Yeah.
26.
What were you doing?
26. I was just moved out to California.
Well, at 26, I was curling beers, But
so was I!
I was curling beers, but like...
Oh, I'm sure I was drinking with you.
I mean, I just find it amazing. You're so right, Kevin. I mean, what I'm seeing here is before his 27th birthday, he's got 5 All-Star selections, 5 All-NBA selections, multiple MVPs, 1 Finals MVP, and 1 Defensive Player of the Year. Holy guacamole. I mean, isn't that something special? And since we got, we're out of time, actually, Kevin.
Thank
I wish
you.
we had more time with you. We could have spoken
Oh,
for
it's a
another
pleasure.
half hour.
I know this could go on for a while.
But Kevin, you are an amazing fan. And for everybody who loves Kevin Drake, go ahead and check out his show, Sports Matters. It's everywhere. Go ahead and check it out on UC Irvine's Radio FM station. Much love, Kevin. We'll talk soon, fam.